was an opinion that we have talked about as far as, what do you think? Did Charles Sumner deserve it? What did you think, Allie?
I don't think he did deserve it because we learned about the revolts and rebellions, and John Brown took all, he raided the arsenal and took all the weapons. And then Nat Turner, he did the rebellion where he killed over 60 white men, white women, and white children.
So I think what I hear you saying is that Charles Sumner didn't deserve it because there was all these ways that both abolitionists and anti-abolitionists were fighting back and forth of how to stop it or not stop it and going back and forth and back and forth. Okay? So that's one opinion. Will anybody else have a different one? You've got Berkeley.
He didn't deserve it. You just needed a different punishment.
All right, so you think he didn't deserve that happening to him. He probably deserved a punishment, but that really wasn't it. Maybe if he would have spoken in a different way, that really could have helped him, and then things might have turned out differently. Okay, so that's another way. Charlie.
You have to get him to have a coat after years slap.
So you're thinking kind of like Berkeley, that he didn't really deserve that. If he would have talked in a different way or maybe had a different punishment, that would have been better. Okay? Anybody have a different way than that? Okay? So I've heard that he didn't deserve it because there were two sides to this, both the anti-abolitionists and the abolitionists. I've heard that he could have avoided that whole attack just by talking to it differently. How about, did he deserve it to be attacked just because he was giving his ideas as an abolitionist? Did anybody think that? That opinion. Okay. So we have some different ways that you're thinking you might go with this. We have now in front of us a planner to think about our thinking here. Here's what we've got. We have our audience that we were going to be turning our writing into the Library of Congress. And so that's our audience for our writing piece today of Did Charles Deserve It? And that's our topic. Then our topic sentence is going to be what you think. Do you think that they deserved it or didn't deserve it, or what's your reasoning why? So that will go here in our topic sentence. Now the next thing that we did was we looked and put all of the documents and pictures and things in order from like our timeline. What's the very first thing that we put in there, Kimberly? The very first one that we put into your packet, and what the order that we're putting them in. The Underground Railroad. When did the Underground Railroad start? Does anybody remember how long ago that was? Toby, do you remember?
In the 80s.
18 what, though? I agree it's in the 1800s, but a little bit after that.
1830s.
Yeah, 1831. You're exactly right. It's in the 1830s that the Underground Railroad started. So we put that document as our very first one. We analyzed this already, took a look at all the different things that went along with the Underground Railroad. So we know that that's one of the very first things that happens with abolitionists, isn't it? In our packet of information. The next one, then. What was the next one that we put in as far as the timeline? Was also 1831. What's that one, Lindsay?
That was the letter to Governor James.
So, Governor James Hamilton to Governor John Floyd. What was the gist of this one again? What was going on?
The Nat Turner rebellion.
You're right, the rebellion is going on up there. And when they're talking about the rebellion...
Oh, they're teaching them how to do all the...
There, you're right. They're teaching them all these things. Don't teach them that it's okay. Don't tell them that they should be able to read. Don't give them all this, because what will they want?
More.
Freedom. Exactly right. And when you teach them all that, then we get things like this, that they are going to rebel. And that leads into, you're right, the Nat Turner Rebellion. Then we have the outrage. And that's in 1837. What was the outrage about again? Talk to a partner sitting by you. Go. what's happening here in outrage? What's happening?
Well, the abolitionists are like giving lectures all over the place.
Right, so they're having all sorts of these meetings and lectures and things like that. I'll let you put that $1 million word in. Go ahead. So, Mason has a penny to put in for that, for our vocabulary words. Now, so they're having all these meetings and stuff. What are they telling them to do? What are they telling them to do?
Stop teaching. Well, yeah, they're having a meeting against the North and the South to talk about them teaching.
True, and what did they want them to do in these speeches and stuff? What did they want to stop, Allie?
They wanted to stop slavery.
Right, the abolitionists are trying to stop slavery. And they're saying to go in there peacefully and tell the abolitionists to do what? Stop. Yeah, we don't want them to have their freedom. The next one we put in the next order goes all the way to 1850. And it's, yeah, the sermon of the Fugitive Slave Bill with Reverend Nathan Culver. Talk to a partner. What was that one about? Go. Alright, so what was a little summary that you could give about this one right here? Jace, what can you tell me about that one?
The slave law.
The Fugitive Slave Law. And what, when he was giving this servant, this reverend, what was he telling, Trent?
Not to obey it. Not to obey it.
Do not obey it. What should we do instead? Don't obey that, but disobey, and help who?
And help those slaves get freedom.
Help those slaves still get to freedom. Even though we know the law is there, we're going to not follow it. Mason.
Like, don't follow the law is very harsh.
Yes, it is. Let's look at the next one. What's the next one that's going to be in our packet? What happened there? Talk to a partner. It's the next two. Actually, we looked at an image and we looked at a document. Three, 2, 1, 0. Hank, what's with this one? Yes, this is when Charles Sumner gives that long speech, doesn't he? And he gets beaten because of his speech or speaking out against abolitionists.
That's long, isn't it?
Mason?
Well, Charles Sumner was dreadfully hit with a gold-top cane.
That is true. He was. So, we know that happened next to Charles Sumner. Look at the next one that's in your packet. What is that? What's the next one? Dred Scott's case. You're right, Toby. What year was it? 1875. Tell me a little bit about Dred Scott. Berkeley, what could you tell me about Dred Scott?
We didn't win this case because the court said blacks are not citizens.
You're exactly right. Dred Scott was a slave trying to get his freedom, and it did not happen because the Supreme Court said, he is not a citizen. According to what? The Constitution. You're correct, my friends. So, the very last document that we have inside of our packet in order, happened in 1859. What was this one about? Logan, what was this one about?
John Brown.
Yeah. John Brown's trial and execution. What did he do?
He went to
So he was an abolitionist, you're right. What was he trying to do?
steal all the weapons.
Yeah. Took over an arsenal. Do you remember where this arsenal was at? Where was it?
Harper's Ferry.
Harper's Ferry. Something else to add to that, Peyton, about his trial and what happened?
He was trying to steal all the weapons.
Yeah, start a slave uprising, right? Now, when we read his letter, did it seem like the same account as what we actually read in some books too?
No.
No. So he has a different opinion. Once he gets caught and put into jail, he writes this. This is going to be your next job this morning. We're going to write during writing time. Today is just we're going to get the planner ready. So in our planner, what you will need to decide then is, depending on what opinion you put right up here of what you think for your argument of, I think this because, like if I think Charles Sumner shouldn't have been attacked because both abolitionists and anti-abolitionists were fighting to stop or start or with each other. I would have to then decide which of those documents or which of the evidence things support that. Okay? So in here, that's what you will decide right now. You're going to look through here and pick out, oh, I think this one would support my opinion. I am going to turn this back and fold that over because I'm going to use the Underground Railroad as one of my pieces of reasons, of my big ideas, my reasons. And then over here, I'm going to do some tell me mores about it, of why I think that. This goes with it for my reasons right here. So a reason and a tell me more. And then I would pick another one. I would pick as many as I needed to support what my lead is right here. So in each of these right here, you would have to have at least 3 supporting reasons for it, and then some tell me mores that go with them. If you decide you're going to use more than that, you would go over to the back side, and there's more room over here. The other thing you would need to decide on is a conclusion sentence of how you would like to end yours. So this morning, your job now is to start looking through your packet of documents and images and decide which ones do you think best support you. During writing time, we'll get this back out and you'll actually do your writing then. Questions that you have right now. Tell me a question.
Can you number them?
You can number them, you can write on this, you can do whatever you'd like. This is your packet. You can turn them over and say, yep, I want this one, or no, I don't want this one. You can put an X on the top if you don't want it, or a star on the top if you want that one. However you'd like to do it. If you need to, you could go inside and say, okay, for now, for my details, I'm going to put this in here. I found this evidence in here. Am I just copying word for word everything that's in here? No, that's one called plagiarism. Okay? Now, say that I want to use something from one of those. Do you remember those marks that we put around things that are really somebody else's that we're borrowing it from them? Quotations. So if we put a quotation mark around it, that means I've actually copied it from that, and I have to tell what source I'm taking it from, which you would have right over here. Okay, because that's going to be what you put in here is which piece of evidence you're going to choose for that. So if you decide that you're going to copy something, or you want to use a quote, or you want to tell some sort of evidence from that that's not your exact words, but their exact words, quotation marks go around it. If it's you saying it in your own words, we're not going to need any quotation marks around it. Okay? Good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Anybody else who has something that they would like to add? Then I'm going to give you some time right now to look through your documents and see what you think right now.
Logan, can you tell me the opinion that you're taking?
Charles Sumner was attacked because both abolitionists and anti-abolitionists used many ways to stop each other.
Oh, so when you're talking that they both were using ways, what kind of text structure does that seem like it would follow then?
Compare and contrast.
Compare and contrast. So are you thinking then of comparing and contrasting things that they did? So can you give me an example of something that you're thinking that you could compare and contrast?
The Underground Railroad and the Governor letter.
Okay, so what will you say about the Underground Railroad?
That it helped the slaves get to freedom, and I also wanted to say that it was not a railroad, it was a secret network.
All right. And so when you're contrasting it to the governor's letter, how is that like the opposite then?
Because they wanted to help slaves get to freedom, and the governor didn't want to let the slaves get to freedom.
What was that governor saying that he needed to do?
He needed to stop the
Yeah.
Underground Railroad, shut it down.
Yes, shut that down. Quit teaching them what?
Quit teaching them to read and write. stop teaching them stuff because they can get too smart and then they can write a letter and then they can escape to freedom.
Exactly. Yeah, sounds like you have a good start of your compare and contrast. Go ahead and keep working, okay, kiddo?
Okay.
Stone, which opinion are you choosing?
I am choosing Charles Sumner did not deserve to be attacked because it was just giving his ideas of an abolitionist.
Okay, so if you're choosing that, look on your paper right now. What's one of the arguments or the reasons why you're giving that? Which document that you think supports that?
The John Brown case.
Okay, so tell me, what are going to be some reasons then that you think that it would support that?
Because John Brown was just giving his ideas of going out and attacking the armory.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'll let you keep brainstorming some more on yours of what you'd like to use. Toby, could you tell me which opinion you're taking with this?
Charles Sumner could not have avoided the attack if he had spoken out in a different way.
So you think if you just spoke differently, that this could have all been avoided? All right, so what should he have done differently? Like, can you give me like a document or one of the pictures or things that we talked about that you feel like if you would have followed kind of like what they did, it would be the case?
I think if he talked better, he would have got hit with
Okay.
the bludgeon.
All right. So, but what's an idea that you're giving as a reason? So I see you writing on your paper. Are you writing Underground Railroad?
Yeah.
So what were some of the ways the Underground Railroad went about it?
The abolitionist was a conductor for the Underground Railroad.
So thinking of how the conductors worked, what did they do?
They led him to freedom.
Okay, so they were doing it kind of in a quiet way rather than speaking out loudly like Charles Sumner. So you think that if he would have followed maybe the ways of the Underground Railroad instead and used some of those ideas, it would have been more helpful? All right, I'll let you keep working on yours. You have a good start. Lindsay, can you tell me what your opinion is so far?
I think that Charles Sumner was attacked because both abolitionists and anti-abolitionists use many ways to stop each other.
Okay, so how are you going to go about writing this then? What's your plan?
I'm thinking I'll tell some things that made the North stronger and about some things that made the South stronger.
Okay, all right. I am anxious to see a little bit more about that. When you say the North stronger, so what things, what documents or pictures or things do you think would support that?
The Underground Railroad.
Okay. Anything else that you have?
For the South, I've heard the fugitive slave law.
So are you planning to like look at one and then look at the other? Like look at the North and then look at the South. Look at the North, look at the South, and then compare a document with each one? Is that what you're thinking you're going to do? All right, so if you have the Underground Railroad and then the fugitive slave law as one, what's another thing? I kind of see it like you're comparing the two. Am I right? All right, so what's your next one that you plan to compare?
The Dred Scott case and the execution of John Brown.
Okay, because they both have to do with trials. All right, what's your next comparison going to be? Because I see you have one more on there.
The outrage and the Nat Turner rebellion.
All right, looks like you have a good start. Go ahead and keep going. Thank you.